Hello everyone, welcome to Advanced Java Programming course. In today's tutorial, we are going to learn in detail about how to create graphical user interface application, or in short I would say GUI application using Java. In Java, we are going to use a special concept name called Swing to create this graphical user interface. We are going to learn everything in detail with an example program. Here is my text editor. By the way, in order to work with graphical user interface in Java, it's recommended for you to use any of the IDEs that are supported by the Java, because especially when you want to deal with the graphical user interfaces, it is very hard for you to hard code everything. So as a result, you might find that spending a lot of time just to create a simple GUI application. So it's always recommended to use an IDE that is supported by Java. Actually, Java provides a rich set of libraries to create a graphical user interface in a platform independent way. So this tutorial, we are going to look at what is Swing and what is the different Swing GUI controls that we have in Java programming. Now let us create a simple project using Java Swing to understand how we can create a graphical user interface using Swing. So for that, I'm going to my file. I'm going to select a new project. So I'm going to select Java, again here Java application. I'm going to click next here. So here I'm going to name my Java application. Let's say I'm going to name this one as a Hello World. You can name them as any. So I'm not going to create any main class. I'm going to uncheck this one. I'm going to click finish. So now Hello World project has been created. I'm going to the source package. Here is my default package. I'm going to right click, go to new. So here I'm going to select JFrame form. In case if you don't see this JFrame form, you just have to go to other. So here select the Swing GUI forms. Then here I'm sure that you can able to find JFrame form. So select this one, click next. Now give the name for this form. You can name them as any. I'm going to name them as my frame. It can be anything. I'm going to click finish. So I'm sure that now you can able to see the frame here. This frame will act as a container. What is container? Container is the one which is going to have the components inside. So within this frame container, I'm going to have a components. A components can be a text field, a button, combo box, list, text area, password field. It can be anything. I'm sure that here in the right side, you can able to see the palette where we have different types of containers. By the way, for this example, the containers that we are using them is a frame container. So apart from this frame container, there are different containers that are there here. I'm sure that here Swing containers, you can able to see the panel. Panel can act as a container, split pane, scroll pane, layered pane, internal pane, desktop pane. These are different containers that we have in order to create a GUI application. So for example, in case if you don't see the palette here, don't get panicked. All you need to do is you just have to go to this window option, and then you just have to go to IDE tools. I'm sure that you can able to see the palette. Click this one, you can able to see the palette. So again, these are controls. Controls are nothing but components. These components are going to be found in the container. Container will contain components. Components can be anything, such as it can be a label, button, toggle button, checkbox, combo box, list. It can be anything. Again, here if you wanted to create a menu bar, there is an option here. I'm sure that if you don't see them, you will see something like this. When you expand this one, you will see a different Swing menu option. In case if you wanted to create a menu bar, a menu item, you can use these options. These are components that can be used. So again, when you expand this one here, you can see the color chooser. I'm sure that even in the theory I told you it is customizable, in the sense we can choose the color chooser and then we can customize the color. So there is a lot of benefits of us using the IDE, especially when you wanted to work with a GUI application. Now let me just start with a simple example of how to use or how to create a GUI application. So now we have the container name called frame. This one is a resizable. If you wanted to increase the size, go to the corner, you can adjust the size of your frame, right? I hope it's making sense, right? So here this is my frame. So within this frame, just for the start, I'm going to start with something simple. So for that, I'm going to select this button, drag and drop them here. Okay, so this J button is one of the components that can be placed into this container name called my frame, right? So if you wanted to change the name of this button, J button 1, you just have to select, right click, edit text, then rename the text. So let's say I'm going to rename this one as a show message. Okay, now since we are dealing with a graphical user interface, meaning you need to design something that looks nice so that you can attract your end user or your clients, right? So let's say if you wanted to change some properties, maybe you wanted to change the background color, you wanted to change something. So in that case, when you select this one, I'm sure that here in the right side you can able to see the properties. In these properties there is a lot of things that you can do. So let me just to show you some few things. Apart from that one, as I say, that you can do a lot of things. These are resizable, you can resize them. So I'm going to select this one. Now in the property, let's say I wanted to change the font. So click this dot. Let's say I wanted them to be in bold, and then I wanted to increase the font size to 36. And then if you wanted to select any font, you can select them here. So for example, let's say I love this font, Book Antigua. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to click OK. Now I'm sure that you can able to see here I've managed to change the font weight and the size and the different font, right? If you wanted to preview this design, if you wanted to know how is my design is going to look like, so I'm sure that you can able to see this eye icon. When you hover on that one, the tooltip says preview design. When you click this one, you're going to see the preview of your design. So this is how your UI going to would look like, right? So let me close this one. Now if you wanted to change the background color, anything, you can change them. I'm sure that you can able to see there is a lot of options there. So let's say for example I wanted to just change the color of this particular text here. So for that, here is a foreground. Select this three dot again. You can change the color of the text. So I'm sure that now you can able to see or manage to change the color of the text. Look for the options. Maybe just select this one, go there, properties. You can still able to see the properties. There are different ways that we can do this. So sorry, I have to select this button, right click, go to the properties. Let's say I wanted to change the background color. So this is a foreground color. This foreground color has already been applied. I wanted to apply the background color, so for that I'm going to click this one. Let's say I wanted it to be in black or something. Click OK, then close. I'm sure that you're not able to see anything, and then even when you go to the preview you will not see it, because that background color will show only when you run the program. So in order to run the program, since I have the design here, let me right click there and then I'm going to run the file. It's going to run. I'm sure that now you can able to see the message with that particular background color that I have selected there. So now what I want to do, let's say when I click this button, I want to display some message. Okay, I wanted to display some message. So for that, remember this part here is a design part. So we need to write the logic, we need to write the Java programming logic behind the screen, so that when I click on this button, we are going to see the message. And let's say I'm just going to print some greetings and maybe some welcome message or something. So for that, you have two options. One is you need to double click this one. When you double click that one, it will take us to the source code, maybe the place where we need to write the Java program in order to display that message. Or I'm sure that you can able to see the tab here. There is a design part, there is a source. So design part will display the design of this particular GUI, and then source part will give us the program behind the screen for that particular design. So let me just quickly explain you what is in there. So here this is a class. Remember the class name, I say that my frame. It is extending from the package name called javax.swing. This is a package. Package is nothing but a collection of or a group of classes. This is a package name, javax.swing. Remember in the theory part I said swing is the one that we are going to use in order to create a GUI application. So this one is a package, and this JFrame is a class that are coming from this package. Remember, this is a hierarchy. This is a highest priority. This one has the lowest priority in the sense. This is a package. Within this package, JFrame is one of the class. So remember, this javax.swing is a package that can support many classes. One of them is a JFrame. So when you come down there, let me just show you. Variables declaration, do not modify. So it says is private, do not modify. This is a package. What is this JButton? JButton is the component that we have used them here, isn't it so? So if you go there, I'm sure that you can still remember I dragged and dropped this button. Initially the label was JButton, isn't it so? And then I renamed it to show message. So this JButton is a component. That's the reason why here you can able to see javax swing JButton is a component that is coming from this package. And then what is this JButton one? That's a name of that button initially when I was dragging, right? So let's say if I want to change the name of this variable, go to the design, select this JButton box, right click. So this one to edit the name, right? So here I'm sure that you can able to see the second option saying change variable name. Click that one. I'm sure that you can able to see JButton one. This is the same name. I'm sure that you can seeing them here. In case if you want to change the name of the variable, go there, change the name of the variable. Let's say I'm going to say btn, click, something like that. So when I click OK, now go to the source. I'm sure that you would be able to see JButton, the name JButton is replaced with btn click. So if you wanted to have your own variable name, you can have them as well. Now the intention is when I click this button, I wanted to display the message saying, and maybe some greetings message, welcome to Java programming or something. So for that, I'm going to the source. I want to display that message when I click on that button, isn't it so? So for that, I have to go to the place where I can be performing action. So here is the place where you're going to write the action when you click the button, because I'm sure that you can able to see private void button click action perform. So when you click on the button, whatever the logic that you are going to write them here is going to be performed. So this is basically an event. When you click on that button, this action is going to be performed. Now let's say I wanted to display the message saying welcome to Java programming. So in normal circumstances, we print, let's say like system.out.println. So in case if you wanted to print any message, this is what we do, right? So let me save. Now I'm going to run this project, that is show message. When I click this one, you can able to see the message is being printed into the console window. Now remember, we are not creating a GUI application to display the result in the console application. Instead, we wanted to create something like, let's say, pop-up box or maybe some dialog box that will bring the message to the customer. So for that, I'm not going to use system.out.println because my intention is not to print the result in the console window. Instead, let's say I wanted to bring some pop-up window or something. Through that pop-up window, I wanted to display the message. So for that, in Java, there is a method name called jOption dot. I'm going to use show message dialog. So this show message dialog, I'm going to remove these parameters. It's going to take two parameters. The first parameter is the name of the class. So what is the name of the class? I'm sure that you can able to see myFrame.java, right? So I'm going to say myFrame dot, I'm going to say this as a keyword, comma, the message that you want to display. So here I'm going to say welcome to Java programming. So when I save this one, let me go there and run. Now when I click on this button, I'm sure that now you can able to see the nice pop-up window. That pop-up window is displaying the message saying welcome to Java programming. Now I'm sure that you know how to create a simple GUI application to display a small message like welcome to Java programming, or maybe even a greetings message, or even if you wanted to print anything, right? So now I'm sure that you have a basic understanding about how to create a simple GUI application. Now in the next one, we are going to create a GUI application that can validate the username. So when I say we are going to validate the username, let's say I'm going to create a project. I'm going to the file, new project, Java application, next. So the name of the project, I would say validation, because I wanted to validate the username. By the way, the name of the project can be anything. I just wanted to be descriptive. That is the reason why I'm naming this project as a validation. So I'm going to click finish. Here is my project. I'm going to the source package. In the default package, I'm going to right click, go to the new. Again, I'm going to have JFrame form. So for this one, I'm going to name them as validation again. I'm going to click finish. So here is my frame, or I would say here is my container. So I can resize this container if I want, right? So now, since I said we are going to deal with username validation, so for that I wanted to have a label. So for that, I'm sure that you can go to the swing controls. You can able to see the component as label, bring them here. Now by default it will be jLabel 1. If you want to change the label name, you can do that by selecting this one, right click, go to edit text, and then edit the text. Now I'm going to say username. Remember, again, if you wanted to change the properties, you can select, go to the properties. If you wanted to change the font size, and then the different, if you wanted to have a different font, you can still have them. And then I'm going to say this one, maybe let's say 24. Click OK. Here is my username, right? If you want to change the color, I'm sure that you know, foreground, select this one and then select the color, right? So I've selected somehow dark black. No wonder that you can able to see them like this, right? Now after the username field, I wanted to have a text area, or maybe text field, not the text area. There is a difference between the text field and text area. So let me select the text field, and then by default there will be something inside. I'm going to remove that one because I wanted to get the input from the user. As soon as you remove the default text, the size will be small, but remember you can resize it. So I'm going to have something like this. You can even change the position, right? So now just going to say like this. If you want to see the preview, you can click this one so that you will see how does this one is going to look like. So let's say I wanted to have a label on top, like here. I'm going to name this one as a username validation, and then let's say you wanted to increase the size, the font size, and so on and so forth. Again, I'm going to select this one, going to be bold 36, going to select this one, click OK. If you want to change the color again, you're free to do that. And let me do that like this. So if you want to see the design, preview it so that you will see how does this one is going to look like, right? So now let's say I'm going to have a button. So this button I'm going to name them as, let's say, Summit. And then again I wanted to increase the font size, let it be 24. I'm sure that, let me preview this one. It looks reasonable, right? It's not bad, but yeah, it's up to the designer, the programmer, you, who is going to design the way that you want. Always choose the right color format so that it will look nice. So now the intention is to teach you how to create a username and then how to validate that username. So remember, let's say here you're going to ask the user to enter the username. The assumption is the user has to enter something, right? So let's say I'm going to enter the username as Ranjan. When I click submit, I want to print the message saying the entered username is Ranjan, right? But when I click submit, nothing is going to happen because I didn't write the logic behind the scenes. right? There are instances where even this one, the font size is too small, right? Select the text box, go there and change the font size. Simple as that. So 24, I just wanted to make it uniform. That's the reason why I'm just having the font size as 24. Now when I go there and preview, I will type the text here. I'm sure that you can able to see the font size of this one and this one, they are almost the same because of the same font size and the font family, right? So when I click submit, nothing is going to happen, as I said before, because we haven't written any logic behind the scenes. Now the idea is this: there are instances where the user will not enter any name here, but they try to click the submit button. In that case, our form needs to validate that input field saying empty username is not allowed, right? That's the first thing that you are going to do. And then the second thing is not necessarily the user is going to leave this input box blank. There are instances where the user can even use the maybe a tab space, maybe a space bar. In that case, this input field still needs to be validated, saying that you're not allowed to have a backspace, tab space, or the space. So we need to validate that one as well. So for that, Java has got some inbuilt function that will help us to prevent from user entering the tab space or a backspace. In that case, we are going to make sure that the user has entered some valid username. Now, all these things, all this validation is going to be performed upon clicking this button, isn't it so? So you can either double click or you can go to the source, and then here I'm sure that you can able to see all those things. So we have a button down there, we have two labels, one on top saying user validation, username validation. There is another label here, username. That's the reason why there is two labels. Text field is nothing but this field. If you want to change the name of the variable, you can change them. Let's say, for example, I want to change the variable name for this one. I'm going to right click it, change variable name. So I'm going to change this one to, let's say, you can name them as any. So I'm going to use txt user input. So when I click OK, go there to the source, I'm sure that now you can able to see the name of the variable for that particular input box has been changed, right? So now we need to write the logic. We need to write the logic when I click on that submit button. So I have to go to the place where I have the buttons. If you're finding it difficult, so it's always a best practice, you go there, double click this one. Actually it will take you, it will take the cursor to the place where you need to write the logic. So I'm sure that now you can able to see my cursor is here. When I click on that button, I want to perform this action. So now remember I said we are going to stop the user from entering the backspace, tab space, or maybe we are going to stop them from leaving it blank. For that, I'm going to set an if condition. In this if condition, what do I need to do? So first, I need to go to this input field. The user is not allowed to leave it blank, isn't it so? First, I need to identify this input field. Remember, I gave the variable name for this input field as text user input. Let me copy this one, and then I'm going to my source. If that field, text user input field, is not supposed to be empty, or I would say we're not going to allow the user to leave it blank, or we are not going to allow the user to use the tab space or a backspace. To prevent that one, I'm going to say I'm going to that input box, and then I'm going to use a method name called dot get text method. Go there and get the text, and that text is not supposed to be empty. It's not supposed to be empty. So for that, I'm going to use the method name called isEmpty. Dot isEmpty. What does that mean? You know what? Whatever the input that you are going to get from the user is not supposed to be empty. That is what we are trying to check. So if this condition is true, what does that mean? That input field is empty. If it is empty, and then inside, let's say I'm going to use the J option pen. Remember in the previous example, we have seen what is J option pen dot show message dialog. So in this show message dialog here, it can be a root pen, and then here we can pass the message that you want to type. So let's say I'm going to say enter your username. So this is a message that will be displayed, right? So after this one, we need to get that input, right? So in order to get that input, I'm going to use text, this same variable, text user input, and then I'm going to use a method name called grab focus to get that input, and then I want to return that input, right? Now this one would check if the input field is empty or not. If it is empty, it's going to show you the message saying enter your username, and then we are going to get that one, then we are going to return that value. After returning the value, now the value is stored, right? Now we need to display that message. In order to display that message, again I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to paste this one. So now instead of enter your name, let's say the entered name is something. Now I need to display the name. So who has got a name? Remember, this variable text user input is the one who has that value, and then get that text. I hope it's making sense. Take that variable, get the text, and then print it together with the message saying enter name is this. So let me save, and then I'm going to run this one. I'm going to enter the name as Ranjan here. So when I click submit, the entered name is Ranjan. Why? This place is not empty. So in case if I'm not going to put anything, when I click submit, it's going to say enter your username. That is exactly what we have written them here. If you don't put anything, if this condition is true, is going to give us this message, because here we are simply checking whether the user has entered something or not. If you don't enter anything, it's going to return this statement. If you don't enter any, if you enter something, then this condition is going to be false, then this particular statement is going to be executed. Let's say in the same example, let me just close this one for now. Let me run it again. So here I'm not going to put anything. If you don't put anything here, this if condition is true, and then it's going to give us a message saying enter your username. That is exactly what you have seen them here, right? In the next case, I'm going to enter the name. When I enter the name here, this if condition will become false. As a result, this part will be executed. So the result would be the entered name is Ranjan, as you can see them there, right? So in the next example, let's say I'm not going to leave it blank. Instead, I'm going to use the tab key. So here I'm going to use the maybe space key, something like this. When I click submit, instead of displaying the message saying enter your name, it displays this message. I hope you can able to see, right? You see, here I have not entered anything, but I've just used the space tab, space key. So in that case, there is nothing inside, right? So in that case, this condition has to be true, and then it should display me the message saying enter your username. But unfortunately, this condition here have become false. As a result, this statement is being executed, but it's not supposed to be the case. Now what is the problem? Yes, we are checking the condition here saying it's not supposed to be empty, but we never said here in case if the user uses the tab key or the space key, what do we need to do? We didn't write any condition for that one, right? So now to avoid that one, we are going to use the Java inbuilt function name called trim. So the use of this trim method would trim this backspace or tab space. So now when I click submit, because I have to run it again because this is previous output, let me save, go there, I'm going to run. So I'm going to use the backspace. When I click submit, it's going to say enter your username because of this trim method. If you don't use this one, this condition will be true. Sorry, this condition will be false. As a result, this message will be printed. So make sure to put the trim method. Trim method will trim the user from having a backspace or a tab space. I hope now it is making sense, right? So this is another simple project on how to create a simple GUI application, right? I hope you have no questions. If you have any questions, you are free to ask me. So in this particular example, we have seen how to use the text view component to create a username validation. As I say that, we have plenty of components here. I'm sure that you can able to see we can use label. Yes, of course, you have used label, buttons, we have used them, text field, we have used them. Apart from this one, we can use these other components as well. So let's say I'm going to use text area instead of text view. So let me say I'm going to delete this one. So instead of text field, I'm going to have text area. So what is the difference between the text field and the text area? I hope you know. Let's say, for example, there are instances where you are going to have just username and password. In that case, when you use text field, whatever the thing that you wanted to input them, it will be there in a single line. So we can use text area in an instances where you wanted to create the comment section. So comment section, there are times that you receive feedback from maybe more than a paragraph explaining where you went wrong, what you did, where was so on and so forth. So in case if you wanted to create something called comment area, in that case you can use text area. So since it's a text area, let's say I wanted to change the variable name. I hope it's a text user input. Let me say okay. So let me preview this one so here is a text area. Let's say if you wanted to type a comment that has a big essay, I'm sure that you can able to see this scroll bar, horizontal and vertical. So this is a main use of us having the text area, but if you use the text view, you cannot have this. It will be in the same line. I hope you know the difference, right? So now let's say I'm just going to run this one. So let's say I'm going to say, so when I click submit, there is an error here. What's an error? So let me just check. Hello everyone, I hope you are doing good. Because when I click submit, I'm supposed to see the pop-up window, and then that pop-up window should display this message, right? So change variable name, text user input, just to verify the name is just the same. So here is my code. Actually that side I was using the uppercase T, so even this one has to be an uppercase T. So even this one has to be an uppercase T. Let me save and run. I hope this one should work now. I'm going to say same again. Hello everyone. When I click submit, the enter name is hello everyone. So basically it's bringing the message as enter name is just because, let me just copy so that I will not redo it again. So because of this message here, I'm just going to say comment. So let me save and run. I hope you got the concept. When I click submit, comment, hello everyone, I hope you are doing great, have a fantastic day. So as I say that there are different components that we have them here. So I encourage you to make use of other components that you see them here in this particular IDE. So we have seen label, button, and then we have seen about text field, text area. So let me give you another example using this ComboBox. I'm sure that from there I will end. Then from there you can practice more on how to use the password field, table, separator, text pane, and so on and so forth, right? So let me give you a simple example of how to use the ComboBox. So let me create a new project. The more you practice, the more you will learn. So try to get used to all those components that you see them there. So ComboBox. So in the ComboBox, I'm going to create a JFrame again. I'm going to name this one as a combo. Click finish. Here is my frame. I wanted to resize it. Right now, First I want to start with a label. I want to name this one, what can I say, maybe let's say my favorite food. So I just wanted to design them nicely, so let me change the color and the font size. Okay, so now I just wanted to have a label, so I'm going to call this one what's your favorite food. Now I wanted to get a combo box. Okay, now let me just change the font. So this one, now when you use the combo box, I'm sure that you can able to see it will give you the, let me go to the preview, so it will give you the options, right? So I don't wanted to have it like item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4. I wanted to customize this one. So if you wanted to customize this one, select this one. Let me just change the font as well so that it can be consistent. So now select this one, go to the properties. But then I'm sure that you can able to see the model here, where you can able to see item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4. Click this 3 dot, remove everything. So the first one, I'm going to say select your food. Maybe I would say favorite food, and then the first one is shawarma, the second one is going to be pizza, third one is going to be ice cream, fourth one is going to be soup. And then let's say these are all the things that are going to be found in the drop down menu. So click OK, click close. I'm sure that the text is too big, so I have to adjust this. So let me preview. Okay, it's going to look like this. So what I can do, maybe I will just move this one this side. Then let me have a button down there. Instead of what is your favorite food, okay, let it be like that. So just a design. So I'm going to change this one, submit your order. So let me just change the font. So let me preview this. It's going to look something like this. As I say, that it's up to you, you can decide how your GUI is going to look like, but make sure that your design looks nice, simple and neat, right? So I think I'm done with my design part. Now I need to write the code. So what does that mean? So let me go there. So if I had to select shawarma, the shawarma is going to display here, submit your order. When I click this one, it's going to display the message saying you have ordered shawarma. So that is exactly what I wanted to do in this particular example. I hope we are ready for the challenge. So for that, what I'm going to do, everything depends on this combo box, because whatever the things, let's say if I choose shawarma, when I click this button, it should display me shawarma. So just to simplify things, let me just change the variable name here. I'm just going to change this one as a, since we are dealing with the food, combo food, something like this. Let me save this one. I'm going there, so let me just double click here. Here is my cursor, so I have to write the function here. So here I'm going to use the if condition, and then I'm going to paste that variable that I've passed them there. So now remember, I have the design here. Here I have a drop down menu. Within the drop down menu, I have 4 items. So can we consider that one as an array? So when I consider that one as an array, this one will be stored into the 0th index. The next item will be stored into the first index, second index, third index, so on and so forth. So for that, I'm going to consider that one as an array. I hope there is no question in that. I'm going to use the Java method name called get selected index, not an item, because I want to consider that one as an array. So by default, I wanted to have the 0th index. In that case, by default, here I just wanted to display the message as select your favorite food, not as shawarma or pizza. I want this one to be displayed as a default message. That's the reason why if combo food.getSelected is equal to 0, then we're just going to say j option pane dot show message dialog. So inside, remember we need to pass two things. So even this one is an I'm going to say this comma, now I have to pass the value. So by default in the 0th index I wanted to select your favorite food, isn't it? So that's the thing that I wanted to display them as first. So what's the error here? I have to import the package for using this j option pane. So if you don't select anything, by default the index 0 value will be displayed. That is nothing but select your favorite food will be displayed, and then that value will be returned, right? So in case if the user selects any specific item from that array, what will happen? I have to display that item, right? So in order to display that item, I'm just going to copy this. Again, same. I'm going to use this comma. So now I'm going to display the item that the user selects. So I'm going to say you have ordered, let's say I'm going to select shawarma or pizza. So it's going to display the message saying you have ordered, and then I have to pick this particular ComboBox variable dot, I have to use get selected item method, so that that item will be displayed. So let me save and run, then I will come back and then I will explain you once more. So now let's say when I click submit your order, it's going to say select your favorite food, because you haven't selected anything. As a result, this first if condition becomes true, then it's saying the message saying select your favorite food. Now let's say for example I'm going to select pizza, and then when I click submit, what will happen? So in that case this condition is not true because pizza is not stored into the 0th index. So this if condition is not going to be executed. Instead we are going to execute this part. So here there will be a dialog box. Here is going to display the message saying you have ordered from that combo box. Because I'm selecting it from this combo box, CMB food is nothing but the name of the variable that I have set for this combo box, right? Dot get selected item, who pick the item that you have selected. When I click submit, it's going to check, it's going to display the message saying you have ordered pizza. So this is how you can work with ComboBox in Java program in order to create a GUI application. As I say that there is plenty of things here that you can play around with. I hope you have an idea about how to create a GUI application using this particular component. So let's say for example you wanted to create a menu item. Let's say here there is a menu, right? File, edit, view, navigate, source. When I go to file, there is another sub options. How do you create this one in Java, especially with this environment? So let me just, I'm not going to write a programming logic, but I'm going to teach you how to design that one. So for example, let's say I'm going to create a new project. So this new project, the name can be anything. So let's say I'm going to say menu, and then I'm going to click finish. So here there is a menu project. I'm going to expand the source package. Here new JFrame form. I'm going to say menu item. The name can be anything. I just want it to be descriptive. So here is my frame. This is my container. Now let's say I wanted to create a menu bar. So I'm sure that here you can able to see swing menu option. So here I'm going to select the menu bar here. When I select this one, I'm sure that you can able to see by default file and edit is there. In case if you wanted to change this name, select this, right click, edit text, you can able to edit. Now there is file, edit. Let's say I wanted to have view. If you wanted to have view, so again there is an option here, menu, bring them here. So now this one, right click, edit text, I'm going to call this one as a view. I hope it's making sense, right? Again, there is another option for you to create this one. It's not necessarily you have to drag and drop this one. Just click here, add menu. Let's say I'm going to say navigate. So right click, edit text, navigate. Now we have managed to create this one, right? So now again, let's say we have these menus you can create, you can able to create them. Now let's say when I click file, there is some sub menu, right? So how am I going to create that one? So for that, you're going to select file. So here I'm sure that you can able to see menu item. Huh? So select this one, come here. Let's say I wanted to add this menu item to the file. Here is menu item. So right click, edit text, maybe I'm going to call this one as an open. This is a first menu item. So again, this menu item is going to be part of the file. So here, let's say I'm going to say save, and then I'm going to add another menu item to this same file. Select there. I'm going to say save as. I'm sure that you might be surprised, but it doesn't look like a menu item. If you wanted to see the actual design, go to the preview. So this is how it's going to be look like. Click file. I'm sure that now you can able to see open, save, and save as. So this is how you can create a menu, and you can write the logic behind the screens to make it work. I hope now you have learned what is swing, and with the use of swing, how to create a GUI application in Java. If you have any questions, you are free to ask me through comment section. Otherwise, thank you so much.